I'm curious, besides doing an energy check, when you decide you're going to create boundaries, all right, let's say that, all right, I've decided now I'm going to create my boundaries. I'm going to do this.
Mhm.
It's really easy to say it and not to enforce it. How do
Yes.
I actually enforce it? Because when I get to my customer's house, what if I don't know the right words to say? Or what if I kind of self doubt myself and I'm not sure if I can follow through on the boundaries I want to create?
Mm.
How do I go about doing that?
I'm going to say something that might sound was going to be very direct. Okay. And this is the way I would say it to my business coaching clients. You got to get over it, first of all. You have to commit to your boundaries or you will burn out as a business owner. It happened to me. It happened to me in my first business. So the first thing I would say is you need some support and I'm going to talk to you about that, but you have to commit to getting past that. In other words, you have to commit to being uncomfortable. It's not
Ah,
going to be comfortable and you will never feel ready. You can't be a business owner and have a healthy life and have a healthy business if you're not willing to set boundaries. So you just get ready to get uncomfortable. That's the first thing. And so you have to build up your tolerance for that and you have to practice and you have to really be willing to do that. If not, people are just going to run over your boundaries all the time. Listen, humans are lovely. Many humans are lovely. Some are not so lovely. Oftentimes, people will consciously or unconsciously attempt to push past your boundaries to get to see what they can get. That's what humans will do. Again, humans are lovely and we all have our issues, right? And so people will try to figure out what they can get away with and what they can get. And so you got to know that as a business owner and you have to commit to yourself and to other people. I will hold my boundaries. That's a conversation to have with an employee and with a client from the very beginning. These are my boundaries. And yes, you got to figure out what those are, and those will shift and change over time. But start out with the expectation that there are boundaries.
when I started my business, I was determined to set boundaries and didn't know how to do it. And I was uncomfortable. And I found that when I would try to enforce boundaries with a customer or a client, they would say, well, but I'm different, right? That applies to
Mm.
everyone else, but I'm different. I'm special. I made accommodations for the longest time. Like, okay, well, I'll make an exception for this one client because they are special and they were with me from the beginning. And I justified all these reasons for not keeping to the boundaries. And I
Mhm.
found that, like you said, every time I would go to the customer's house, I started liking them less and less and respecting myself less and less because I didn't follow through my boundaries with that person. And the thing that really caught my attention, and this is as I advanced my career and I started getting smarter and less tolerant over the years, is I realized that for every accommodation I was making, it was raising my stress level up.
Yes. 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 That's right. That's
And
exactly right.
so, at what point do you say, okay, this is, I know you said set them from the beginning, but at what point do you start enforcing them and saying no accommodations?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that is such a good question. And similarly, when I started my first business, I took on some client. I don't know if anybody listening to this can identify with this, but I was scared to start my own business. I was scared I wouldn't make the money. I was scared I wouldn't survive. And so I took on clients that really I knew in the back of my head, I thought this is probably not a good idea. And I did it. And then it ended up biting me later. Right. And so it can be hard, especially in the beginning when you don't have a wait list, right? When you don't have everybody trying to contact you and you're scared about the money to enforce these boundaries. But what I learned, and I think what you learned too, is that you really have to commit to doing that up front if you can. I know it's hard, but that's super important. And now I've totally lost the plot of what you were asking me because I wanted to share that about my business.
No, I'm glad you did because I found myself in a situation in my business where I discovered I can't stay in business if I keep doing the accommodations. I can't stay in
Mhm.
business. It's not
Yep.
negotiable
Yep.
anymore. And so I got all my customers together one by one and I said no more accommodations. I've gone as far as I could doing the, you're special kind of thing, but no more. I can't run a business that way. It's not working out for
I
me. So
love
either I
that.
go out of business or I have to kind of like back up and take back those words, right? Then I
Yep.
sat all my employees down and I said, okay, today you either leave the company or you tread lightly as we transition over into a no accommodations policy. for me, it was little things, but like at the end of every week for my employees and my independent contractors, I would write them a paycheck on the last day of the week instead of saying we have payday on Sunday or something. And then that's the same day for everybody, whether you work
Right.
half a week or a full week or whatever. But I was trying to write checks. This back in the days when we wrote checks,
Yeah.
but I was trying
Yeah.
to write checks like multiple times a week, sitting down trying to do partial bookkeeping all throughout the week. And it was killing my time and my
Hmm.
schedule. And I just, and then it was making me mad. And people would surprise me and say, "Oh, today's my last day of the week. Can I get paid today?" And it would be easier if you just waited till the end of the week and I wrote checks all at once. And finally, I just said, no more. It's going to be Sunday at 6 p.m. That's it. No
Yes.
more. No
Yes.
advance loans, no early money, no accommodations. We're not doing that anymore. And we did have two people that left. They were like,
Mhm.
I don't like this. Okay, see you, bye.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had to literally restructure my business because I was literally going insane. I was like, I can't keep doing this.
Yep. Gosh, that makes so much sense. We were talking about when do you let someone go? I think is part of the question, right? As a business owner, you have to be willing to fire people and you have to be willing to let people quit, whether that's a client or whether that's an employee. Because, like you said, every single accommodation you make, every single time you treat someone as special, it adds stress to your life. So then you find yourself inefficient, disorganized, stressed out, resentful, trying to do a million things at once. And then you forget what accommodations you've made for this person and then this person, and it gets so confusing. So have fair and decent policies and boundaries from the beginning. Like what you just described to me is completely fair. This is when we do payroll. This is when we do paychecks. This is what it is. That's completely fair, right?
Well, I discovered that hiring was driving me crazy because traditionally, and I don't know if this is just a house cleaning business, and I'm speaking for on behalf of house
Yeah.
cleaners everywhere,
Yeah.
but we tend to be people pleasers. And
Mm,
so we go into people's houses and people are like, man, my life is falling apart. We're like, I can help you. I know what to do. I look around and I see what needs to be done. I can make your life better. And people are like, oh, great. Can you do this? We're like, yes. And they're like, can you do this? We're like, yes. We promise the sun, the stars, and the moon, right? And then
yes.
we jump through these just irrational hoops to try to make it happen for these people. And at what
Hmm.
cost? And
Yes.
it would be easier to say, "Man, I wish I could do that and I can't." That's not what we're bidding on right now, and that's not
Hmm.
in our scope of work. Or we can do it, but that will be extra money, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there came a time where I said, "Okay, from now on, my boundary is a checklist. Everything that we do is on this checklist. And if you want
Yes.
something else that's not on the checklist, it costs more money." And my go-to was, if it's not on the checklist, it costs more money. You're gonna have to call the office. You're gonna have to schedule extra time and
Yep.
extra money in order to make this happen. So yes, I can jump through those hoops and I will, but at a cost.
Mm.
The stress levels were so high that I didn't want to do this anymore unless we had some boundaries, right?
Mhm, mhm. Exactly. It wasn't worth it. It's not worth it. No amount of money is worth it. If you're gonna burn out, be stressed out, have your family life suffer, have your life suffer, it's just not worth it, right? And so boundaries will save you every time.
Mm.
Boundaries will save your life. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. It will save you so much.